Okay, what a day for a daydreaming boy. So we're at the last week of the season, unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're not a baseball fan or tired of watching baseball, of course, because it is a pretty long season, 162 games. So I just thought I'd make a quick video just to kind of, go over the season and go over what's happening in the last week of the season as well. I had a pretty successful campaign getting back into the baseball season. I'm up about 500 points. Cross your fingers, that should hold with a week to go. But again, there wasn't much activity. This is a season points league, public league, and there wasn't much activity in it at all. Just a few transactions. I don't even recall a trade ever being made. So, that's one of the main reasons I was able to, looks like I'm going to be able to win this league. But also I was pretty active on the waiver wire. And I think in general, I know I've watched a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of videos on fantasy baseball and fantasy hockey and other sports as well. One of the things that I don't think is mentioned enough is getting guys off the waiver wire and how just important that is. And also how easy it is. Anybody can do the research. I mean, I just put in some time, just do some research, and I picked up every guy. All the changes that I've made, I picked up every guy off the waiver wire. Some early, some late, some I wouldn't have been able to get had it been a pretty active league. So I was fortunate in that respect. So this league was a good learning league because you could follow along and just grab a guy for a week or two, kind of follow along, get to, learn his name, get to know his name. That way next season, you'll at least be somewhat familiar with the player. And I know that's helped me a lot. It's helped me in hockey immensely, having played last season. So it can only benefit you, even if you're only going to pick up the guy for a week or two. That way you get to follow him. You can put him on your watch list too, but it's definitely not the same thing, at least not for me. So I'm going to just update you guys on my team in general. So I have Adley Rutzman or Rutschman. I've heard it pronounced both ways, but I'm going Adley Rutzman. He's Baltimore's catcher of the future. If you want to talk about prospects to follow along with, and especially see if you can get him in your draft next season, Adley is certainly one of the top prospects that you want to grab. He's got a 254 average right now. Looks like about an 807 OPS. Got 13 home runs, 42 RBIs, and 382 at bats. But really, I mean, he's their catcher of the future. Freddie Freeman, we all know about him. Of course, I didn't at the beginning of the season, which was pretty funny. Jose Altuve, I actually did know him. Gunnar Henderson's another guy. Baltimore's got a lot of young talent on their team that is, pretty impressive moving forward. He plays shortstop and third. At least he's eligible at those two positions. Gunnar Henderson, again, another top prospect. You're going to probably hear his name quite a bit. He's got an 845 OPS, 276 batting average, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs, and just 98 at bats. That's another guy you're probably going to be hearing a lot of noise about, especially next season. Francisco Lindor, Xander Bogaerts. Some of these names are ridiculous. Rowdy Tellez, there's another guy you want to keep an eye on. He had, you want to talk about a breakout season this season. I made a short video about him as well. Let's see what he's available. See, he's only rostered in 68% of ESPN leagues right now. He's got 34 home runs, 87 RPIs. He's first baseman, DH for the Milwaukee Brewers. Low batting average, 221 batting average. Big dude, really, really big dude. But, he's got all the power in the world, 27 years old. And he's been in the majors for a few seasons now. I mean, 2018 was his first season, only played 23 games. This is by far the most games he's played in a season, 148. He's got career highs in home runs, 34. Again, RBIs, 87. Career highs in walks. Does have career highs in strikeouts, 118. But in 111 games played in 2019, he struck out 116 times. So in 148 games and 511 at-bats, he's got 118 strikeouts rather than 116. So he's actually improved quite a bit. So again, 27 years old. He's another guy, breakout season this year, and he's another guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. Bryce Harper, obviously, you know Bryce Harper. Cedric Mullins had another good year. 16 home runs, 32 stolen bases. Didn't quite have the 30-30 year that I believe he had last year. He had 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. He got 32 stolen bases on the year in 8 less games. He didn't have quite the power, quite the slugging percentage. He slugged .518 last season. He's slugging .409 this season. He's got a .730 OPS. His OPS last season was .878. So his batting average was .291 last season. It's .262 this season. So you could see maybe he's coming down slightly from those numbers, but a really solid season. Again, 16 home runs, 64 RBIs, and 32 stolen bases. You know, it's a pretty solid season, and you know, so I'm certainly not disappointed in him. But that's, again, a lot of young talent out there in baseball. Baseball's in really good hands. He's 27 years old. You know, he's got a huge, you know, bright future ahead of him. Taylor Ward's another guy. He is going crazy lately in September. Let me just take a look at what his stats are in September. They're ridiculous. He's batting .364, slugging .614 with an OPS of 1,039 in the month of September. He's just going absolutely nuts. This is coming off August, where he batted .222 with an OPS of .662, and July batting .190 with an OPS of .577. So he's really obviously coming on strong, and he's 28 years old. And so he's got an OPS of .838 on the season, good for 19th in the league so far, and that's the major leagues, you know, not NL or AL. And again, he's set career highs in games played, at-bats, hits, doubles, home runs, RBIs, walks, you know, batting average as well. Again, OPS is .838. That's going to be a career high. So again, a lot of young talent out there you're going to want to keep an eye on. I can see him going, I don't want to say super early in a fantasy draft next season, but certainly it's somebody to keep your eye on, especially in the later rounds. I know I'm going to, because I can see him going earlier than you might think, especially the way he's finishing the season. Talking about Cedric Mullins, 30-30 guy, here's a 2020 guy, Adolis Garcia. I was fortunate to pick him up, I don't know how long ago. Let me just actually check. July 2nd. I didn't think I actually had him that long. But yeah, I've had him since the month of July, beginning of July. Batting .250, 755 OPS, got 338 total points, 26 home runs, 97 RBIs, and 25 stolen bases. So there's a guy, again, you're going to want to take a look at. What's funny about him is, as of today, he's played the exact same number of games played, 149, as he did last season. And he's got the exact same number, 581 at-bats last season. He's got 581 at-bats in 149 games played this season. How ridiculous are some of these numbers sometimes? But anyway, he's got 86 runs, which is 9 higher than he had last season, 4 more hits, 5 more doubles. He does have 5 less home runs, 7 more RBIs, 8 more walks. But it is hysterical how these stats are practically dead even. And speaking of dead even, so he's got 581 hits, exactly the same, 149 games played, exactly the same. And here's the best part. His slugging is .454. Last season, .454. So I don't have a clue how you... And, oh, by the way, he got hit 5 times last season, hit by pitch. Got hit 5 times, hit by pitch this season. So his stats are ridiculous. So anyway, that's Adolis Garcia, another guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. Stephen Kwan, I just picked up him, what was it, a couple of days ago, because I did just want to follow him along for at least the last week of the season. He's batting 302. I believe that's 11th or 12th in the league. He's right behind or right in front of Andres Gimenez, which I just made a video about yesterday. His OPS is 779. I mean, that's pretty solid. He's not going to hit for any power. I mean, he's got 6 home runs. He's not going to hit for much power, 51 RBIs. But again, 302 batting average, 19 stolen bases on the year. And, you know, like Taylor Ward, he's really lighting it up in September. He's a rookie. He's 25 years old. Let me just see his stats right now. He's 12th in the league at 302 in batting average. But in the month of September, he's hitting 328 with an OPS at 857. So he's a guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. He batted 314 in the month of July, batted 296 in the month of August. So he's been pretty consistent over the last few months here. And again, he's a rookie. You definitely want to keep an eye on him. Looks like he's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's had 6, 8, 9 hits in the last 4 games. So he really has been on fire lately. He's averaging 2.7 fantasy points per game in, you know, your standard ESPN leagues. So again, that's a guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. And he's going up against a pitcher you're going to want to keep an eye on, which is Brady Singer. His ERA, and he pitches for Kansas City. His ERA is below 3 now. It's 2.99. A WHIP of 1.13. He's got 144 strikeouts and 147 innings pitched to 34 walks. He's 10-4 on a Kansas City team who, what are they, about 30 games under 500 or something ridiculous? But this is his 3rd year in the league, 26 years old, really coming into his own this season. That's another guy that I've had. I did get rid of him because I only have one more start left, and it wasn't going to be Brady Singer. So it was either going to be Sandy Alcantara, whose name I can never pronounce, or Kyle Wright, but it looks like Sandy's going to get the nod. But again, Brady Singer is another guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. Also have Kyle Schwarber at utility. He's also struck out once. He's got 196 strikeouts now. He does play a doubleheader at Washington. It's at the bottom of the 4th inning. So cross your fingers, but I think he can make 200 strikeouts. He only needs 4 more strikeouts to get to 200. And this doubleheader, I think he can do it. If he didn't strike out so much, he would. I mean, his OPS is 798. He's got a 212 batting average. Obviously, that should hopefully improve. But 42 home runs, 87 RBIs. If he didn't strike out 3,000 times a year, he'd be way more valuable than he is. But unfortunately, since he strikes out 5,000 times, you know, he's a good option. But I wouldn't say a fantastic option because, again, he strikes out 7,000 times in a season. Also have Christian Yelich, who had a pretty decent season, batting 253. It was 262, so it has come down slightly. 12 home runs. You know, I did a video on him, what was it, a couple of months ago, where he was the best player in the league, MVP, but he was having 30, 40 home run years, and then all of a sudden his power just went right off a cliff for whatever reason. Who knows? Who knows why? But I believe he's batting leadoff still. And you know, like I said, 17 stolen bases, but it's the 12 home runs that, again, that should be in the 30s for what he was doing for the 2 years. And you're thinking Christian Yelich is going to be the best player in baseball for many, many years to come. And the power, for whatever reason, is just faded. But he's still a solid outfield option. Alejandro Kirk, another guy that you're going to want to keep an eye on. 321 total points. He's got a 291 batting average, about an 800 OPS, and 23 years old. Essentially his 2nd season. I don't know what the limits are of being a rookie, how many games you have to play to be a rookie. Maybe somebody can leave me a comment below on what exactly the limit is. I could look it up, but I'm going to be lazy for this second. But he played 9 games in 2020. Obviously, he didn't exceed his rookie status then. But in 2021, he played 60 games, 165 at-bats. So I'm pretty confident he would have exceeded his rookie limits right there. But in this season, 135 games played, 457 at-bats, 133 hits, again, 14 home runs, 62 RBIs, 61 walks, only 55 strikeouts, so that's pretty good. Batting .291, OPS of .801. And for anybody that likes the really advanced stats, his WAR is 4. He's 21st in the league in batting average, 39th in OPS. But you're going to really want to take a look at him because they also have a guy, Gabriel Moreno, who is one of the top prospects in their organization, who also plays catcher. And Jansen, I think, is it Danley Jansen? I forget his first name. Danny Jansen? I forget his first name. But they have 3 solid catchers. But I think Kirk is going to win the job. And they've actually, I was just reading an article the other day, Gabriel Moreno was taking some field, I think he was playing center field or something like that, but he was taking fielding practice out in center field because they got to get him at bats. Like I said, he's one of the top prospects in all of baseball, let alone in the Blue Jays organization. But I think his real value is the fact that he's a catcher. And so I'm curious what he's going to, where they're going to put him. But Alejandro Kirk, again, that's another guy you're going to want to take a look at. I do think he's going to go fairly early next season. Certainly among catchers, he's going to go fairly early, I would think. So just keep an eye on him. Michael Harris II, again, one of the favorites for Rookie of the Year. I don't know why I say again because I didn't mention it. But he's one of the favorites for Rookie of the Year, along with Spencer Strider, who I had both. But Spencer Strider is now on injured reserve, won't be back until the playoffs. But I do have Michael Harris II. One of the favorites for Rookie of the Year. Again, it's either him or Strider, one or the other. So he's got 288 total points. I think he's averaging, is it 2.6 points per game, something like that. But in 397 at-bats, he got 19 home runs, 64 RBIs, 20 stolen bases. So here's another 20-20 guy. He's batting .305 with an .875 OPS, and I did say that correctly. He's got an .875 OPS, .876, excuse me. Although I don't actually, it's .875. It's weird how you go to ESPN stats, and I don't know which one is updated first or whatever, but on the fantasy, if you go to your fantasy baseball team on ESPN, it's 875. If you go to his stats on just the regular ESPN homepage or whatever, it's 876. So it is weird how that works like that sometimes. But anyways, either way, 875, 876. That's a hell of an OPS. And he's on a 5-game hitting streak right now. But he's just, I only picked him up when I pick him up, the 20th of September. So I've only had him for 10 days. But I wanted to get him because I wanted to follow along. Just because he's another guy you're going to want to take a look at for the future. And it never hurts to know some of these upcoming prospects. Get a little familiar with them. And, don't worry about your place in the league right now. Although that's easier said than done. I understand that. But, grab him if you can. Or at least put him on your watch list. That way you can follow along for a week. Kind of get familiar with him. See how he's doing. Do some more research on him. Because, again, that's another guy that could go early, just like Alejandro Kirk could go fairly early because there's not much depth at catcher. Obviously, there's much more depth in outfield, which Michael Harris II is. So he might not go super early, but I think Kirk might go super early in the draft next season. And Andres Gimenez, which I did talk about in another video, I have him as well. He's eligible at second base and shortstop. And, again, Cleveland is playing KC, which Brady Singer is pitching tonight. So as far as pitchers are concerned, Sandy Alcantara, that's going to be my last start. Slightly worried about that start because he is playing Burns.